to show you how to put your slow cooker tomato, kale, and quinoa soup together. See how good that's looking? But now I'm going to show you all of the ingredients that I use to put this soup together. First, I put a cup of quinoa, and this quinoa is mixed with brown rice. All you need is a cup of uncooked quinoa. Then I also used 4 cups of chicken broth. You can use any kind of broth you like. I usually use chicken broth, so I use 4 cups of the chicken broth. And then I also used 2 cans of the tomatoes. You can get any seasoned tomatoes that you like. This is the can that I wanted. Then I also washed and rinsed 1 can of the Great Northern beans. Make sure you wash them and rinse them. And then of course I used my everyday seasoning that I use on everything. This stuff is the bomb.com. Try it. I get it from Trader Joe's. I'm not sure if anyone else sells it or not. And I also put just a few of the crushed green peppers in there just to give it some flavor. I really don't like hot food, so I just put just a little bit. Then I also used oregano. I will put the recipe down in the description box so you'll know how much of each to put. But actually what you do, you season this to taste, because you have to remember it's a soup. And I also put 2 bay leaves in it. You know you don't eat the bay leaves now. You take the bay leaves out. They're just for flavor. I also use basil. I put a little thyme in it too. Like a quarter of a teaspoon of these 2. And then I also put just a little bit of the pink salt in it just to give it some flavor also. And then I also used the bag of kale that's already washed and cut up, because I just didn't feel like cutting it up. So you can either cut up your own kale or you can get the ready to use in the bag. So here's the soup all put together. Let me show you some of the ingredients. And I also added some onions and garlic to it. It is smelling so delicious. Look, you can see the onions and the tomatoes. And once this cooks, it's going to just all cook together. The quinoa is down at the bottom. I'm gonna cook it for at least 8 hours, and then I will show you what it looks like once the soup is cooked. Let me add some more kale to this dish. I'm going to put as much kale as I can that my slow cooker will hold. So I'm just going to put that down in there. And just, I guess, fill your slow cooker up. And you're going to taste this as you go along to make sure it has the flavor that you want it to have. See, this is it with the quinoa. With the kale, the quinoa is at the bottom. So once this starts to cook, the kale will cook down. And then you'll know if you need to add more. And then I just put the top on this, and I am going to let it cook, and I will come back and show you what it looks like after it's done. This is the slow cooker tomato, kale, and quinoa soup after 8 hours. See the different colors. I love the colors. You can see the red and the green, and you can actually see, let me show you. You can actually see the quinoa, the peas, the tomatoes, and the onions. See how the onions cook down? Like they're not as big as they were before. And then you can also see the kale cook down quite a bit too. I think I'm going to add some more broth to this, but you can make your soup as thick as you like. This is with the 4 cups of broth. But I am definitely going to add some more broth to this to make it more soupy. Tomato, kale, and quinoa soup is out of the slow cooker. I had to actually add some more broth to it, probably about 3 to 4 more cups of broth, because once it came out of the slow cooker, it was dried out, looked like the broth had just disappeared. So I added another 3 cups of broth to it, and I also added quite a bit more seasoning to it because it didn't have enough seasoning in it. And I let it boil on top of the stove for like 15 minutes, you know, just to get the soup started. And now it's actually really good. You can see how the onions cooked down quite a bit. The quinoa pretty much disappeared, and the tomatoes and the kale just all cooked together. It's really good. I decided to add it with a few chips, with a few corn chips. So if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Remember to share your soup and the video with your family and friends. And thank you so much for joining. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.